Hi, I'm John Mallows. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Tuesday morning. Today we're talking about a project in California that is a little bit controversial. It's confusing, but it's high-speed rail. Do you have an opinion about high-speed rail? Should it be or should it not be? 436-ME-TV, option 11. Connect with Me starts right now.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Back here on the program, it is Ask an Expert Day, and I'll tell you what, a first-time guest, and she is an expert, believe you me, on high-speed rail. So I want to know where you stand today. Are you for or against, to be or not to be for high-speed rail? You can call in at 436-ME-TV, option 11. Before we get started, just a little, shout out about what happened yesterday in Las Vegas, and our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to the victims and their families. Just a horrifying event, and I hate to see this issue become a political football back and forth. The fact of the matter is there's so many heroes that should be patted on the back, the first responders, and many of those people on the ground during the concert, those attendees that risked their lives. Some gave their lives to protect others. How about the husband that jumped on top of his wife to save her? He was shot and killed by the bullets, and there are just too many stories to tell, too many heroes to talk about. But certainly shouts out to those people that risked their lives during a horrifying situation, and that's the positive twist on this thing. Also, thoughts and prayers to the family of Tom Petty. Can't believe, I'm not too far behind him in age. Boy, to have cardiac arrest and then just simply die. And he had just held a concert, I believe, a couple of days before. So just a couple of things to think about here as we talk about our program today. You're watching us live on Comcast Channel 375 as usual. It is Comcast Cable TV, but if you don't have Comcast right now, and it's a live program, you can watch us over the air broadcast, 43.6, 13.1 over the air, with a television digital outdoor antenna. Then the replay of this program comes up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. After that, you can go to our YouTube page and link up, or you can go to Ventura Broadcasting, the website, Ventura Television Broadcasting. I guess it's a website there. It's our website, and you can hook up with Connect with Me and watch any of the past programs here on this show. So, talking about high-speed rail, I want to know where you stand. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Interested to get your take on this as we roll into the monologue. Like it or not, high-speed rail is here to stay, my friends, despite all the interruptions, despite all the lawsuits, all the environmental studies. On top of that, you have the High-Speed Rail Authority trying to purchase all this land up and down California. Do you think that that's an easy proposition? I don't think so. That's why it's so convoluted. And then all the money, you're talking about billions and billions of dollars. Roll the videotape, show you exactly what I'm talking about, my friends. As of now, between Madera, Kern County, the California Rail Authority has purchased roughly 2/3 of the land it actually needs, delays and rising costs. For example, the Central Valley portion of the project is estimated to be $1.7 billion over budget on a 119-mile segment currently under construction. There are 13 different construction sites, both in Fresno and Madera.
From the air to the ground, from the highways to the country roadway, wherever you are from Madera to Fresno, construction of high-speed rail is just about everywhere you look. There are now 12 active construction sites located within Construction Package 1, and one that is now complete. A ribbon cutting was held at the Tuolumne Street Bridge in early August, and it's now open to drivers.
You're in the history books. You are now. You have been from the beginning. And Fresno is the prominent player in the development of high-speed rail in the state of California.
The huge moments will keep coming. 2 more project sites are nearly complete. Final work is being done at the Fresno River Viaduct and Cottonwood Creek, both projects just outside the city of Madera. Safety is a major concern for the project. High-speed rail will eliminate at-grade crossings in the Central Valley. That includes Road 27, Avenue 8, and Avenue 12 in Madera County, and one of our newest projects at American Avenue in South Fresno. These 4 overcrossings will take cars over our tracks as well as freight tracks and are in various stages of construction. The realignment of State Route 99 continues through Central Fresno. This 2-mile stretch, being managed by Caltrans, includes the demolition and construction of 3 bridges, as well as moving the highway about 100 feet to the west. Another realignment project is in the beginning stages. This one will move Golden State Boulevard to make way for high-speed rail tracks. Utility relocations are currently underway along the roadway. The program's only below-grade project continues to move forward. You can now clearly see the outlines of the Fresno Trench and State Route 180 passageway. This project will eventually carry our trains under freight lines, a canal, and State Route 180. Finally, the 2 signature structures in and out of the city of Fresno are taking shape. The Cedar Viaduct in South Fresno is the program's most visible project, stretching high into the air just east of State Route 99. Once across the highway, this structure will connect to the Muscat Avenue Viaduct. In North Fresno, crews are constructing columns on the north and south side of the San Joaquin River. But more noticeable for now is the dozens of columns that have been constructed for the pergola that will allow high-speed trains to pass over the top of the UP track. Pre-construction activities are also underway in Construction Package 2-3, and Construction Package 4 is in the early stages of construction. In all, there are 119 miles of construction in the Central Valley. California High-Speed Rail, it's happening.
All right, live in our studio now is Leanne Eager. She is the president and the CEO of the Fresno County Economic Development Corporation. I'm pleased to have her here. She's a first-time guest and pleased that she's going to talk about high-speed rail because it is a very complex issue. And when you call in, I know it's a controversial issue. Please be pleasant with your disagreements. If you agree or disagree, it doesn't matter. But the fact of the matter is you have an open phone line to call in, 436-ME-TV, option 11, back with our program on high-speed rail in a moment.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come into Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Not sure what you're watching? Want to see what's coming up next? Or just want to browse what's on without the hassle of flipping channels? Your wish has come true. Now you can view schedules for all the digital TV channels available in the Central Valley. Get local weather updates and forecasts, and listen to nationally syndicated Biz Talk Radio, all on KVHF 4.1. Rescan your TV now, then tune in to Digital Channel 4.1 to start enjoying the all-new TV Guide.
All right, high-speed rail is the topic today, 436-ME-TV, option 11. Last week we talked about Temperance Flat. That's another project that's going to, it's controversial. It's going to take forever to build, and high-speed rail seems to be along that same path. It's costly, delay after delay after delay, and it's going to take a long time. Leanne Eager is here. Good to see you. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good. Thank you.
I'm so pleased that you're here, and I'd like it to start out by asking you, now you're the president and CEO of the Fresno County Economic Development Corporation.
Right.
Before I get into the high-speed rail, explain what that organization is.
Sure. So we're the business advocacy organization for all of Fresno County. So we help current businesses grow. If businesses are in trouble, we help them stay in business. We travel around the country, around the world, and bring in new business to Fresno County. We work with all our partners to ensure that we have a workforce that meets those business growths. So it's exciting times. We're doing great things in ensuring that Fresno County is that place, that best place to do business in all of California.
Okay. How long has the organization been around?
Close to 40 years.
40 years.
Yes.
So that's a long time.
That's
and
a
you've
long
been at the
time.
helm for how long?
I started 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Yes.
And you're an attorney by trade, right?
I am a recovering attorney.
A recovering
Yes.
attorney. Talk a little bit about that background and how that helps you now.
Sure. Well, I was a creditors' rights attorney working with banks and working with businesses that were in trouble. And so when I actually went to go talk to the then CEO, Steve Guile, about a client that I had, and after
He was the CEO
he was the CEO of the EDC before me.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
All right.
yes, he was my predecessor.
Oh, okay.
And
so
I
you
was
went to
talking-
talk to him.
Yes, about a client that I had.
Okay.
That I thought maybe the EDC could help. And he asked about my background, and I told him about my love for Fresno and Fresno County, and that I had grown up here, born and raised.
Gotcha.
My dad went to Roosevelt High School and then went back and coached football at Roosevelt High School, and I
Okay.
went to Hoover.
Okay.
And so he said at the end of that conversation, he said, I need you to come work here because I'm getting ready to retire. And we had never even met before.
Right.
But it did really fit in with what I wanted in making sure that this community was healthy and growing.
Yeah, and being an attorney helped you, you think?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it helps in all aspects of life when you're thinking about how you can help people and how to move forward and how to think strategically. I think that has helped, certainly.
Yeah. And so where do you fit in on this high-speed rail situation, you and your organization?
Sure.
Where is the fit here? What's your role, in other words, in all this? Because I know you just got back from Spain with Lee Brand, Oliver Baines, Paul Capriolio, and a few others.
Yes.
Richard Caglia was there too. But where do you fit in? What's your role?
Well, my first week on the job, it was 2009, and a group came to us and said, there's this Prop 1A, it just passed. We have to start looking at high-speed rail and how Fresno is going to be affected. And there's going to be this maintenance facility. And there's going to be one in all of the Central Valley, one in all of California, and we want Fresno to get it. That was my first week on the job. So I said, okay, I'll start going to the meetings. And I think now we're about 5,000 meetings later, really looking at, from an economic development standpoint, where do we stand to benefit from high-speed rail if we have that connectivity with San Francisco and Los Angeles? How do we get that maintenance facility in Fresno? And we also have a contract with the city and the county to assist those businesses that are on that alignment to make sure when we have to move those, there are 333 businesses that are affected by the alignment. When
How
we have
many businesses affected by this?
333 in Fresno County.
333 businesses affected by high-speed rail in Fresno County
Correct.
alone. Do we know how
Correct.
many in Madera?
I don't.
Okay.
But
but
only
is that a large number? 333?
It's a large number when you're talking about having to ensure that they're all stay in business, that we
Okay.
find them new homes. Some of them we can reconfigure and they can stay where they are in moving things around.
Right.
Some of them are farms, and we've been assisting them in making sure that high-speed rail is looking at those effects on agriculture. And then in the downtown area, certainly there were quite a few in the downtown area. And so we have been, the EDC has been charged with ensuring that they have a new home, if they need a new home, getting them through the permitting process,
Yep.
and getting all the moving expenses that they need. So we've been working on that. We've also been working with ensuring that if people are constructing, that we use our local people to do those jobs,
Yeah.
to make sure that if things are happening here, it's not happening to us, it's happening with us.
Yeah, so the businesses now, 333 businesses affected by high-speed rail. Does that mean that the 333, you need to purchase their land, move them out to a different location, and they continue their business?
Well, we don't, but high-speed rail purchases the land, the state of California.
But you assist those businesses.
We
when
assist the
high-speed-
businesses on
Okay.
the business side.
Do you help
yes.
facilitate, say, a purchase or no?
Yes. So
You
what?
do?
So we're
Okay.
working with the right-of-way agents. We're working with high-speed rail, and we're working advocating on behalf of the businesses so that they're treated fairly in this process. That we're
So you're
finding.
an advocate for the business.
We absolutely are.
Not an advocate for high-speed rail, but for
Correct.
the business. Make sure that they get a fair market value for their property or whatever.
Correct.
Okay, all right. And so have you personally met with all these business owners?
Pretty much. Yes.
All of them?
So we started
You're a
having.
busy person.
I'm a busy woman, yes. So we started having meetings. Actually, we knew where the alignment was going to be, and we started having community meetings back in 2010.
Okay.
Up and down the alignment. Started having meetings with individual property owners. Now, not all 333 have to move. Some of them, as I said, we can reconfigure them on the same piece of property. So you're going to cut off the front and move the parking lot to the back. In North Golden State, we were able to assist with moving the road around the back of some of the businesses, like where Lawson Rock and Oil is, so that it doesn't go through those buildings. They moved Golden State around the backside because high-speed rail will go along the front. So we were able to negotiate a lot of those kinds of things. Out in the county, we were able to negotiate for them to move one of the overpasses over some so that it didn't cut diagonally through about 5 different farms, saving thousands of acres of farmland out there.
Wow. So you convinced High Speed Rail Authority to just slightly move that track over, huh?
And we worked with the county of Fresno in order to assist
This was in
with
Fresno
that.
County, huh?
Correct.
Wow, it's amazing. All right, I'm going to continue this conversation. I'm fascinated by this and all the work that goes into doing this, because I guess this explains why a lot of it, I mean, there are lawsuits too, I mean, that delay this. There's environmental studies. And then just if you delay, it's going to, the cost is going to go through the roof. Am I right about that, Leanne?
You're right. If we would have built it in 2008, it would have been a lot less expensive, that's for sure.
Yeah, because the total cost, they say this bullet train, the California High-Speed Rail Authority wants to build this bullet train going from Los Angeles to San Francisco and back. One way it would be less than 2.5 hours, I believe, or 2 hours and 30 minutes, or somewhere around that.
240.
240.
Yes.
What's the difference between a couple of minutes? It doesn't matter, but it's under 3 hours. Let's put it that way. So, LA to San Fran, that's a long haul, my friends. You do it by car, and it's going to take you 8 hours plus, depending on how many pit stops you make for coffee, and then you have to go to the restroom, right? Anyway, 436 MeTV option 11. We're back with Leanne Eager, first-time guest, talking about high-speed rail, and I'm sure that you're sitting there watching. Why don't you just pick up the phone and call in, because I know you have an opinion about this. Back in a moment.
When you're looking for KitchenAid innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, we'll help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified KitchenAid appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Frigidaire Gallery appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy.
Time for that upgrade to an Energy Star qualified French door Frigidaire Gallery refrigerator.
Quality appliances for the way you live. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise.
Back here with Leanne Eager. Glad you're here, Leanne. So talking about these businesses and how some of them have been interrupted. One person you may know, you may not know him. He's a good friend of mine, good friend of this program. He's been on several times before. In fact, he's going to reopen his business, I think, this week. His name is Sam Shima. Do you know Sam? Gymnastics beat.
Oh, yes,
He got
course.
uprooted by high-speed rail, and his daughter went to school with my son, and so very interesting situation there with Sam coming back on board. It was a very arduous process to try to find a new building.
Right.
To do gymnastics, you can't just move into any building. It's got to be high ceilings. You got to have the structure for it, and it was a complex issue. How typical is his story? Because I'm going to try to get him on this week.
It's very typical, and actually, when he comes back, and make sure you ask him what the EDC did for him, because he was one of our clients that we helped find the new spot and helped him through this process.
So the Economic Development Corporation of Fresno County helped Sam Shima.
Absolutely, and I'll be there to do the ribbon cutting. Yes.
Over at his place.
Yes.
What day is that? Thursday?
I think it's this week. Yes.
This week sometime.
Right,
Yeah.
and they put it off so I could be there because I was in Spain when we were going to do it. So I'll be there to to certainly encourage people to come out and see him.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so we're going to have him back, I think, this
Good.
week to talk about his grand opening. I'm not sure what day.
Great.
We'll put him on for a few minutes, not the whole program, but his is atypical, huh? Pretty much.
It is typical. It's difficult when you're talking about, moving, 150 people. Let's just say half of those folks that are on that alignment have to move someplace.
Yeah.
We have to find another building or another site that's similar to the one that they had already.
Yeah.
Many of them want to be near the 99 because that's where they were before, and they have freight and they have things going on and off the 99, and high-speed rail is going along the 99 right there. So it has been a very difficult situation in trying to ensure that people do find a place that is good for them. OK Produce was probably one of our most difficult. It was the largest business in Fresno County that we had to move. And that took about 2 years for us to be able to get a new place for them, to get them all moved in, to work out all of the issues. So Gymnastics Beat was certainly one of those that we, had to work very hard on too.
Yeah, but I'm interested. Okay, I want to reiterate. Leanne has said 333 businesses affected in Fresno County alone. About half of those had to move. Some of those, what percentage would you venture to say are farms?
Probably a third.
Probably a third of the 333. And for the sake of my memory here, reiterate the story about moving the tracks. Where was that in Fresno County? Where specifically was that? Where you convinced the High-Speed Rail Authority, hey, can you move those tracks over because you saved 5 farms, you said. Where was that specifically?
So it was just south of downtown Fresno, as you head out off of North Avenue. And it actually wasn't just the overpass. So the rail was going in one direction. The overpass.
What's the cross street? Do you know?
I don't know off the
Okay.
top of my head.
Right.
But the Cedar was one of the cross streets.
Okay.
Absolutely, I know that. And they were going to put a new overpass going over Cedar. The high-speed rail was going one direction, overpass was going in the other, and so you were cutting some of those farms into 4, not just 2, but 4.
Ooh. And those farmers were upset.
Very upset. Very upset.
And they came to you?
And they came to me and said, this doesn't make any sense. There's not a lot of people that are traveling over Cedar at that one location. Why would we have to have an overpass there?
Yeah.
So I asked the county to come out and do a traffic study and look at how many people were going over that area to see if an overpass was even necessary at that one spot. So the county did. They did a months-long traffic study and said, you're absolutely right. That doesn't constitute an overpass there. We were able to get high-speed rail to move the alignment a little bit over so it didn't cut diagonally through the farms. It cut along.
Parallel? Was it parallel then?
Then it was parallel instead of diagonal. And they moved the overpass down to a more trafficked area that didn't cut through
Closer
farms.
to the city?
Away from the city.
Away from the city, okay.
And there were more people traveling on that road than would have been the other way, and that was also parallel to the area of the farm. So those a couple of thousand acres right there in the middle, they were all of those farmers were able to keep their land and keep it intact. And I think one of the things that people don't understand is if you cut a farm in half and you go diagonally through it, it doesn't just cut it in half. You can't get your tractor to turn around at the end of those lanes in a short little area of space. And I think folks who are not maybe from the valley and are not into agriculture don't understand that piece. And so we were able to fight for that too, that, you have to have 30 feet at the end of those rows to be able to turn your tractors. You can't go all the way up to the edge.
So was there a problem with the overpass in terms of pylons and not pylons, but the pylons the structure that holds up those overpasses? Was that part of the problem?
Sure.
Because you can't turn it. You have to have a certain amount of space to be able to turn that tractor around.
You have to have about 30 feet to be able to turn that tractor around at the end of each row.
And that would have presented a problem for those farmers had that overpass gone in diagonally as opposed to parallel.
Absolutely.
Okay, and you're able to how long did it take you to iron that situation out?
Oh, probably about 6 months.
6 months. Okay, and so I know I've read so many. I probably read 20 or 30 articles on high-speed rail in the last couple of days. They all seem to have a different tone to them. One recent one here in the Fresno Bee says that Fresno County has to gobble up 1,740 pieces of property. They've done about 1,160. That's about 2/3. Is that a fair amount of property that you have, not you, but the rail authority has actually purchased? Is that right on target with what they're saying?
That's about right.
Really? That's a lot of property. So how does the high-speed rail authority, like for example, when Sam Shima came on here, he said that, he just got they paid him a visit one day and said, we're putting high-speed rail through here, you're going to have to move. Is that how it went for every business owner? Were they in shock?
We tried as an economic development corporation and the city of Fresno and the county of Fresno, before high-speed rail ever came into the picture, we just knew where the alignment was going to be. We tried to send out notifications to all of those folks that were going to be along that alignment enough ahead of time to let them know. And as I said, we tried to have community meetings, tried to do all that. There were some that certainly didn't think it was about them. And so they didn't come and they didn't listen to what was going to be happening, because they felt like they were outside of that alignment, which was fair because the alignment changed a little bit in certain areas. But most people got letters ahead of time. At first,
I think Sam did too, but I think somebody also visited the complex.
Yes. And usually what happens is they make an appointment, high-speed rail, and hopefully someone from the EDC, sometimes someone from the city, would go together and say, here's what's coming. We need to start negotiating. We need to start looking for a new place for you.
Yeah, okay. Take a call here. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Leanne Eager is here talking about high-speed rail. Go ahead.
Hi, John, and hi, Leanne. Great show, great topic, a lot of energy, and I'm really excited to see the direction that Fresno's going, and known about the EDC for many years, and they do a lot of very good work here. And so I wanted to bring up two things. One, you guys are talking about gymnastics beat. My kids have gone there for the last couple of years, and so we were at the old building and are now going to the new building, and the new building is just phenomenal. And
Great.
Sam is, he's a wonderful guy. He's got all sorts of great ideas, and the place really seems to be flourishing. And he's told me personally many times that, how much help that the EDC has and has done, and the various organizations in the city, and just even working with Mayor Brand's office. And so this is exciting, and I'm excited to see the high-speed rail. And I just, John, I don't know if you've ever brought it up or have talked about it, but I mean, just imagine what our real estate's going to be like. I mean, we're already kind of on an upswing, but the real estate market, I think, is going to, our homes and buildings are going to start increasing because people are going to be able to commute between the city, and they're used to paying 2, 3, 4 times than what they pay here. So,
Right.
So I think it's a really exciting times, and I'm just glad you guys are talking about it, and I think there's a lot of positive that's going to come out. Also, my own family owned a property. One of my family members owned the property out by Golden State and Herndon, where one of the projects you guys were talking about in that video, out near the 99 in Herndon off-ramp going southward.
Yeah.
And, and he was, my dad was very happy with the way he worked with the high-speed rail, and, they bought that property years and years ago, and so, I think it's going to work out for a lot of the landowners and the property owners, and I've seen proof firsthand. So, exciting.
Okay.
And thanks for having.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
caller. So, you want to comment before we go to break there?
Sure. Well, I certainly appreciate it, and I do think we need to talk about that land value issue, because
Go ahead.
I just got back from giving a speech. This was before I went to Spain.
Right. We're going to talk about Spain, but
Yes.
there's, we got time here. Don't worry.
I was talking to the folks in Silicon Valley and giving a speech. I was on a panel about the valley-to-valley connection and what that would mean for people in Silicon Valley who, first of all, the businesses that have run out of space, they can't expand there. And second of all, the folks that can't live there, and what that option means once high-speed rail is up and running and you can get to Silicon Valley in 45 minutes from Fresno and vice versa, and what kinds of things we can do together, Silicon Valley and Central Valley, in order to help those businesses expand, help those folks live here and work here and maybe go back and forth when they need to. I mean, I think that's going to be really important. And what will that do for our land values here?
Yeah, it'll increase, it'll skyrocket.
Absolutely.
I would assume, but you know, it's got to be built. It's got to be built. It's got to be completed first, and then those values will go up. So we'll talk a little bit more about that on the other side of the break. 436 MeTV option 11. Back in just a moment.
The following is a list of celebrities you will not see on MeTV programs. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Lohan, Snooki, Paris Hilton, Perez Hilton, Honey Boo Boo, Justin Bieber, Simon Cowell, Chris Brown, Miley Cyrus, and the Real Housewives of any place. This is who you will see on MeTV programs. Lucy, Ralph, Mary, Perry, Gilligan, Kenner, Spock, Batman, Rowdy, Festus, and the Beaver. MeTV. Thanks for watching.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back here with Leanne Eager. She is the president, CEO of Fresno County Economic Development Corporation. Let me ask you something about some of the controversies with high-speed rail. Okay, $1.7 billion over budget for the Central Valley portion of it, which include, what is the Central Valley portion of it, by the way? Fresno, Madera, what else?
It goes down to Shafter.
Okay. Kern County?
Yes, in Kern County.
Okay.
And yes, through Madera.
Through Madera. Not Merced, though.
It comes close to Merced.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Right.
Okay, so altogether the stretch is pretty long. That's called the Central Valley portion of it. So it's behind schedule by 7 years. Is that true? 2025 is the scheduled date, because the completion date was supposed to be September 30th, 2017, which was just a few days ago.
Well, that was only the completion. Actually, that wasn't the completion of the project. The September 2017 was when the ARA funds had to be used. That's all that 2017 was supposed to be.
But none of the project was supposed to be completed by September?
No.
What was supposed to be completed by September? Nothing?
Just the use of the ARA funds, which was construction money.
Okay.
And it just came out last week from the High Speed Rail Authority Board that they did meet that September 30th, 2017 deadline to use all of those federal funds.
All right. See, that's why you're here. And you need to clear this up, because I'm reading, like I said, about 20 different articles here.
Sure.
So the LA Times says, and this was dated September 29, 2017, California bullet train cost up $1.7 billion for the Central Valley segment, and it's 7 years behind schedule. That's a 27% jump over the original estimated price. Are they accurate on that?
You know, I can't talk to the specific number, and certainly they have gone over what was projected. But as we talked about earlier, if you would have built it in 2008 when Prop 1A was passed, certainly it would have been less expensive. Absolutely. Even in those first 3 or 4 years, if construction would have started as hoped, those construction costs would have been less. There have been a lot of lawsuits in that process.
How
and
many
fighting
lawsuits altogether, by the way?
Many.
Can't
many,
count them?
many.
Too many
to count.
Too many to count. You know there are lots of them.
There's lots of lawsuits.
Okay, you're not involved in any of those, by the way.
I'm not.
You're outside looking in.
Yes. We're assisting businesses in this process.
Yeah, you're assisting businesses. You're not involved in any lawsuits. I want to clarify that,
That's
okay?
right.
If you have a business that's affected by high-speed rail, I encourage you to call the one and only Leanne Eager, because she has helped my friend Sam Shima, of all people. I never thought it would be Sam Shima in the mix, in the middle of all this, but he is. And so your number, by the way, in case they want to contact you, if they're watching this.
Yes, absolutely. 559-476-2513.
Okay, and you have a wonderful assistant,
Yes,
by the way.
you can call Merritt.
Yep, call Merritt, because she helped facilitate this interview here. But back to the LA Times. I'm just reporting what the LA Times said, and I want you to clarify. It just said $1.7 billion over budget for the Central Valley portion, and they say that's the backbone of the entire project. The Central Valley portion of it is the backbone. Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that, and that's how
because without Central Valley, it doesn't exist.
There's no high-speed train from San Francisco to Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And let me explain something really important, I think.
Yeah.
Is that when people talk about why didn't it go down the 5 and why didn't it go directly from San Francisco to Los Angeles, that would have bypassed the entire Central Valley, which would have eliminated us from all of the opportunities that are going to come from that. That would have eliminated us from having that connectivity with San Francisco and Los Angeles. That would have made the state, again, just about Northern and Southern California, and the Central Valley would have been left out of all of that.
So would the Central Valley have been left isolated once again? Without
Even
the
more
high
so.
speed? Really?
Even more so.
Are we
Because
isolated now?
We're isolated now. It's tough to get here, right? We always say we're sort of like this island unto ourselves, because people can go back and forth from San Francisco into Los Angeles, right down that 5, or fly
So
pretty
you're saying it would have
cheaply.
made matters worse?
Absolutely. I absolutely believe that. Right now, what we're looking at is making sure that the Central Valley and Fresno County in particular does have those connectivities with those major metropolitan areas in California that we have never had that connection before.
So how important is the maintenance yard downtown?
The maintenance yard we've been working on consistently for the last 8 years.
Are we getting it?
I sure hope so. I think we're
not a
getting closer.
shoo-in yet,
It's
is it?
not a shoe-in. There's
What?
still
Give me
others.
a percentage. 80%? Sure. 50?
Well, if you're talking,
40?
if you're talking to the person who's been working on it every single day for the last 8 years, I have to say I'm 99% sure. But if you talk to the folks in Shafter or Madera, they probably have a different story. The maintenance yard has to be in the Central Valley.
So why is it important? What's the maintenance yard going to do for the city of Fresno? It's going to be located downtown on Kern Street?
No, that's the station.
Oh, that's the station.
That's
But,
the
well,
station.
okay,
We
where
will
would
have
the
a station there. The
where would
maintenance facility is out in the county, just off of Malaga Avenue. And that's where we have chosen for our site to be.
Why there, and why? And the second part of that, why will it help Fresno?
Sure. We looked 8 years ago about where we could actually put about 300 acres together to ensure that we could put the entire maintenance facility there, plus any of the ancillary businesses that need to go around there. Once we looked at that, and it has to be close enough to the high-speed rail alignment so that there could be a short spur off of that, or actually on the alignment in order to pull the trains off there to have maintenance. There's not too many places around the entire valley that you can do that. We did find about 400 acres that we could do that right in that spot. So it was a long time researching that.
So it's going to be an economic boost?
Absolutely. So what we're looking at,
Jobs?
1,500 jobs,
Okay.
good paying jobs.
Okay.
That's not including construction.
Full-time jobs.
Full-time, good paying
Benefits,
jobs.
all that.
Absolutely. And what we're looking at is not having it just be the maintenance facility. And I have seen about 9 different heavy maintenance facilities around the world. I've personally toured them to see what ours
Including
should look
Spain?
like. 3 times in Spain, and 3 different maintenance facilities in Spain.
Okay.
But what we're also looking at is included around that maintenance facility would also be industrial park. So anyone that needs to supply things,
Hang on, caller. Get to you in a moment.
supply to the maintenance facility. Any businesses that want to do work with that maintenance facility, that we have room for that. We're looking at putting a training center out there. So as technology changes, we can train people right there on the spot, and they can go to the maintenance facility and look at the testing and ensure that that training matches what we're doing on the trains. We have it all thought out.
So is this all part of the grand scheme of things to revitalize downtown Fresno, to redevelop some of these other areas out here. I don't know that Southeast, Southwest is being left out to a certain extent. A lot of people are squawking about that. I know that to a certain extent. But it is the goal here to make the people on the outside want to come here.
Absolutely.
And how they're going to get here, it's going to be high-speed rail. And once you get here, hey, look at what we have. It isn't just a pit stop where you can get a cup of coffee and go to the restroom. Look what we have here. We have a baseball stadium. We got businesses downtown. We got is this all part of the grand scheme of things?
It is. And the high-speed rail station, which Mayor Brand and the others that came with us on this trip, we looked at stations in particular to see what kind of station we want to help high-speed rail build.
Stations.
No, the actual station.
The actual stations, like the one that's going on in Tulare, right? Tulare and what is it?
Yes. So the end of Mariposa Mall.
Yeah,
yes.
the Mariposa Mall. That's
yes.
that. Okay, we'll talk about that during the course of the program. But I want to take this call first. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air with Leanne Eager.
Hi. Where is the line going to? Is it like in Merced, and does it end up in Bakersfield?
Well, the entire alignment goes from Los Angeles to San Francisco. So from Los Angeles, it would go through Burbank and then out to Palmdale. So it goes around from Palmdale into Bakersfield. So it goes through the Tehachapies. And then from Bakersfield, it goes up through Tulare and Kings and then to Fresno. There's a stop in Madera. Now, the Merced stop is on the way to Sacramento, but there will be a Merced station. Then it goes out to Gilroy, San Jose, and San Francisco.
I think the caller is gone, but that's okay. We're going to show that animation video. I think
Yes.
that kind of explains it. Not right now, but before we go to break, hey, let's do this because I want to roll a piece of videotape. It's got sound on it. Out of that, we'll go to commercial, and then Leanne will comment about this. As you know, we don't know how many lawsuits have actually been filed. Too many to count. You're talking about millions and millions of dollars. This project, according to some estimates, started out at being like $33 billion. Then it went up to $64 billion. Then it went up over $100 billion. Then it came back down. Now it's again $64 billion, I think, for the overall project, LA to San Francisco. Caller, I'm going to have to put you on hold. One man who was in charge of all this in the beginning, he was spearheading the drive for the California Rail Authority, and that was a San Francisco politician. His name is Quentin Kopp. Now he is an opponent of high-speed rail. I want to play that. It's called Quentin Kopp, High-Speed Rail with Sound, and then we'll go to break, and Leanne can comment after. Back in just a moment. Look at this video, though.
High-speed rail lines began popping up in Europe and Asia in the early 80s, and passengers were exhilarated.
Trains are, for lack of a better word, sexy. Going at 200 miles per hour on land sounds very exciting, very futuristic. Politicians see opportunity for a legacy for themselves.
With high-profile rollouts in France and Japan, bullet train mania was underway. And then reality set in.
Unfortunately, the costs of building such projects usually vastly outweigh the benefits.
Supporters who claim that most high-speed rail systems operate at a profit use accounting tricks like leaving out construction costs and indirect subsidies. If you tabulate real costs,
2 high-speed rail lines in the world operate at a profit. Rail is more of a 19th century technology. We don't have to go through these headaches and cost overruns to build a future transportation system.
What we're talking about is a vision for high-speed rail in America.
But politicians can't resist the ribbon-cutting ceremonies and imagery of sleek trains hurtling through the lush countryside. So the projects keep coming.
Don't be afraid of the future.
California's high-speed rail line was sold to voters on the bold promise that it will someday whisk passengers between San Francisco and Los Angeles in under 3 hours. 9 years later, the project has turned into such a disaster that its biggest political champion is now suing to stop it from happening.
I say we cannot afford not to pass Proposition 1A and build high-speed rail in California.
It is foolish, and it is almost a crime to sell bonds and encumber the taxpayers of California at a time when this is no longer high-speed rail.
An icon of California politics known as the Great Dissenter, Quentin Kopp introduced the legislation that established the rail line and became chairman of the High-Speed Rail Authority.
The litigation which is pending will result, I am confident, in the termination of the High-Speed Rail Authority's deceiving plan.
Unscramble. Sing, honey, sing.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be our guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
Try me.
Me. That's memorable, that's me. That's me. Me, you gotta see. That's memorable, that's me. Me TV.
When you're looking for Whirlpool innovation and quality, who has the answers, the selection, the price? Ventura TV Appliance. With billions in nationwide appliance buying power, more than Home Depot and Best Buy combined, will help you save. Our low prices on Energy Star qualified Whirlpool appliances save you energy and money, and pay no interest on select models when paid in full within 12 months. Ventura TV Appliance, serving you since 1951.
Back here with Leanne Eager, Quentin Kopp. He calls this the great train robbery, okay? We cannot burden the taxpayers of California with all these bonds, all the bond money. What's your response?
Well, Quentin Kopp actually came to Fresno. We brought him to Fresno right after Prop 1A passed, and he talked to us about what a great project this is and how we need to move forward. I'm not exactly sure.
Have you talked to him?
I haven't talked to him lately. I've certainly talked to him over the years, and he was a supporter for a long time.
He's a character, isn't he?
He's a definite character. He's a definite character.
I just wonder what the switch was all about. He did a switcheroo, a 180.
He certainly did, and I'm going to have to
Does
call
anybody
him.
know why?
I don't think so.
Does
He
Tom
must.
Richards know why? He's part of the board of the California High-Speed Rail
I'm sure
Authority.
they've talked to him. I have not personally.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But he was a big supporter.
Yeah. Do you find it strange?
I do find it odd, but maybe that, when he was part of that original board. So way back when they were first envisioning what this was going to look like, maybe because the plans have changed, it didn't fit in with what his vision was.
I don't know. That's odd. Something must have triggered that change. Yes. I don't know what it was, but only he knows for sure.
He knows, yeah.
All right, caller, you've been patient, short on time. Go ahead.
I really love the cheerleader there on your show, the pom-poms and everything, and I'm sure there's nothing bad about this project that she can think of.
By the way, this is Mr. Merced. He calls in.
Okay.
He's
calls in. And you know what we could, what we have in Merced here.
Yes.
What our assemblyman and state senator got us was $400 billion for the ACE train. And we will have the Altamont Corridor Express here in Merced by 2027. And I say that will be decades ahead of HSR, ahead of the Brown streak, Governor Brown's legacy. And while I appreciate the the pom-poms and the cheerleading going on there to the right, it's the reality. You wonder why Quentin and so many people got off the project, because it wasn't what was promised to the voters. It changed. The cost changed. The routes changed, the time changed. We still don't have a time. We were supposed to go Bay to Basin, 2 hours and 40 minutes. We're not going to do that. This is going to be the next block.
Hey, caller, wait a second. Mr. Merced, I just want to point out to you that I don't know how much of this program you've watched. See, I've got to put my tough hat on now, okay, Leanne? I have already pointed out, especially in my monologue, that the Central Valley Project portion of this is $1.7 billion cost overrun. It's not going to cost almost $8 billion. That's a 27% jump. They're 7 years behind. It's back down to $64 billion after going over $100 billion. There have been delays because of lawsuits. There have been delays because of environmental studies. There have been delays because the California Rail Authority has had a problem in trying to gobble up 1,700 properties in Fresno County and Madera County alone for the Central Valley Project. I've already pointed out what you're already pointing out, so say something different than what I've already said, would you please?
Well, why don't she talks about technology and latest state of the art. Why are we looking at 1800s technology, steel wheels on iron track? Why aren't we looking at maglev? Why aren't we looking at some of the latest technology in our transportation needs here? That's not going to carry one bit of freight.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. I didn't necessarily call Leanne here to debate whether we should have it or not have it. But
you can't go against this. This is too popular. All of the politicos have changed their minds. Even the conservatives have said, well, if it's going to come, let's get the best deal. Well, let's be clear about this. This is not going to generate money. This is going to cost the taxpayers money for decades and decades to come. You think Bart makes the profit?
Okay, hang on, caller. Don't hang up, Mr. Merced. I want you to give Leanne a chance to talk. Go ahead, Leanne. You have the floor for as long as you want.
Thank you. Let's see what I can do. I've heard it all before. Is
there anything you haven't heard?
No.
So Mr. Merced doesn't intimidate you,
Not
right?
at all.
Okay,
not at all. And I've been called the cheerleader before. And that's not actually my role. My role is to talk about the truths about what this will do for the Central Valley. And actually, Mr. Merced, I was in your area not too long ago talking to folks in Merced about what that station might look like, what kinds of opportunities that might bring to the Merced area. I know Adam Gray has been wonderful for you all in ensuring that you get additional connectivity, so that's going to be great in order to get y'all to Sacramento faster and smarter. All those things are wonderful, but that doesn't detour from the fact that we will have high-speed rail here. We have talked about maglev and whether or not that works or not, and it has not been in existence long enough to ensure that that is the way to go. I have traveled around the world and ridden high-speed rail in many, many countries.
Including Spain?
Including
Where?
Spain last
Taiwan?
week. I went to Germany, and Siemens took me all around to show me their system. I went to Italy. They took us around to show us their system. We went to China. They took us around to look at their system.
Wow.
France, they took us around to look at their system, and Spain. And all of them are using high-speed train. All of them are successful. We just got back from Spain day before yesterday.
And what did you learn there?
I actually learned new things that I hadn't learned before, even as I travel around.
Give us 3 or 4 nuggets that you learned.
Certainly. One is that after the first infrastructure, which infrastructure is always paid in the United States and around the world by the government, just like when we put in dams or we put in freeways, the infrastructure is paid for by the government there.
That's how it's done around the world?
That's how it's done. And even in Spain, it was done that same way. But now that it is up and running, now that they have trains going all parts of Spain, it's making money. It's profitable.
What else did you learn?
I learned, the safety issues. We hadn't talked about safety issues before, and because things going on around the world now, we really wanted to look at what should we be doing.
Earthquakes.
Yes, earthquakes and first responders. What do we need to do differently now in California with our high-speed train as we're looking at things happening around the world? What should we be doing? They talk to us about those kinds of things.
Okay. And what else?
In Japan, they have a safety system that warns the train ahead of time if the earthquake is coming, so that the train can stop 30 seconds before the earthquake gets there.
Okay.
We learned about whether or not the systems that we'll be putting in place can do that, and yes, they certainly can. We looked at stations and what kinds of stations are appropriate for what kinds of areas. We went to the city of Malaga, Spain, which has 580,000 people. Sound familiar? In their area is about 1 million people. Sound familiar? It was really close to Fresno and Fresno County.
Okay.
And their station was a destination point.
Wow.
That's what we want to have here. We want to be able to draw people in to a station, and then they can get to Fulton Street. Then they can get to Chinatown. Then they can get to those other areas. But you have to have that one piece that draws people to that downtown area. And we believe, and in looking at places around the world, that those high-speed rail stations can be that focal point.
Okay, and you went with Mayor Lee Brand, Oliver Baines, Oliver Baines, City Councilman, Paul Capriolo, City Councilman, and also
Richard Caglia.
Richard Caglia, of course, we have a famous Caglia family around here, and also
Paul Queering.
Okay, and he has his own company?
Yes, a construction company.
Construction company. And so you learned all these things by looking at what Spain was doing.
Yes.
and you say that they're making money now.
They are making money.
And the government paid for it.
The infrastructure.
The infrastructure, the government paid for it, like
Yes.
they're going to pay for the infrastructure here.
Correct.
Am I right about
That's
that?
correct.
And so they're making money, but how long did it take them? Did they have lawsuits? Did they have delays? Did
They
have
did.
cost overruns?
They had all those things.
They had all those things, and it got done in how many years?
Well, their first section, which was from Malaga to Sevilla, which
Okay.
is about a 2-hour train ride, high-speed train ride, a little bit smaller than San Francisco to L.A.
Okay.
That took them about 12 years to fully complete it.
Okay.
And as soon as that happened, every place in Spain wanted a station because they saw what happened to Sevilla once that happened.
Okay, Mr. Merced, you got 30 seconds, and then I got to go because I'm short on time.
Yeah, well, we have a government-run railroad, and we have since 1972. It's called Amtrak, and it hasn't made a dime. And this thing is supposed to run without an operating subsidy. You know, again, I love the blue and green, the blue and gold pom-poms, but I think that it's just a little ambitious. And when you talk about Spain, look what's happening in Catalonia. That's right. They want to succeed from Spain because they're tired of paying the freight. Okay, and I have to take exception with all of the systems she mentioned that are all making money. No, they're not. They're not. And they were heavily subsidized, and they will be heavily subsidized. Again, I understand that, you know, the political winds have changed, and you got to be on board, or you're not progressive. But we have a railroad. It's called Amtrak. It hasn't made a dime. The Altamont Corridor Express would be better for Fresno than anything HSR can do for you guys. So just my 2 cents.
Okay, Mr. Merced, thank you for calling. We'll hear from you again soon. By the way, Dennis Hart is on Monday, so you may want to call back, Mr. Merced. But this, again, is not your role. Your role is to help businesses.
That's right.
Okay, so that's why you're here today. And we'll roll a videotape. We're going to talk over it, Carrie. It's called Fresno's Streetcar Past in High-Speed Rail. I'm talking about Chinatown. Go ahead and look at this. Okay, a rail station along Tulare in downtown Fresno. It's going to go right through Chinatown. It's going to be tied up for 2 years. There are so many businesses upset about this, Leanne. Please talk to me about this and Chinatown's past as we see here.
Sure.
Look at this great video we've got
That's
here.
beautiful. Yes.
So what can you tell those businesses? They have very rich history with Chinatown in this city.
And I'm glad you brought up Chinatown because we've been meeting with Chinatown certainly for the last few years, but really in depth for the last 6 months because we know of the street closures are really going to affect Chinatown
Like
in the
fish
short
market.
term. Yes, absolutely.
He's really upset.
And we meet with him twice a week.
Okay.
And it's the Economic Development Corporation, the City of Fresno, High-Speed Rail.
How badly is it going to hurt the businesses there for 2 years?
Well, what it's going to do is make it more difficult for people to be able to get to them because of the street closures.
Now,
Now,
alternate routes.
Yes, so we need to look at alternate routes. But let me tell you what we're doing for them, which they haven't had before. Is that most of the businesses in Chinatown have not been involved in social media, as other businesses around the city of Fresno. So my office has set up Facebook pages for all of the businesses in Chinatown that would
How
like
many of
one.
them?
Well, so far I think we're at 12, but we've told any of the restaurants, businesses, if they would like us to set up their social network, we're going to do that for them. We have set up a website so that if you want to go to a business in Chinatown, you go to that website. It tells you exactly how to get there, which alternative routes.
When will the street close?
Well,
This week?
some of them. I think the big issue is Tulare is going to close, yes. But
This
the
week,
big
on
issue
Thursday
is
or Friday?
it's this week.
It's
Yeah.
this week, sometime.
That's the plan.
Okay.
That's
All
the
right.
plan.
So beware out there. If you're driving
Yes.
around, just know that sometime this week it's going to happen.
That's their plan.
Yeah, okay.
The bigger issue, I think, is Kern Street. And that's not high-speed rail. That's the UP line has to close Kern Street because of the work that they're doing. It happens to coincide, which of course is not good, with some of the other closures. So we're looking at what can we do to help those folks on Kern Street in order to get people to their businesses. We're going to do a large marketing campaign. We're going to make sure that people, if you want to get to Central Fish or any of those wonderful businesses in Chinatown, that you can look on the website, just click on that business. It tells you exactly which route to take to get there. We're going to ask to do a media campaign in order to help make that happen. And the high-speed rail station, and eventually it will have two sides. You can either enter from the Mariposa side or the Chinatown side. That's a perfect opportunity to really build up Chinatown as people come out of that station, to have that be a showplace on the Chinatown side.
Quickly, in 10 seconds,
yes.
Is the fish market owner, he's worried that he might go out of business?
He's worried, yes, because he saw what happened on Clinton when Clinton closed, and some of those businesses came very close. We were able to help them also in getting people to them, so that's why we're trying to work ahead of time.
Yeah, and in a couple of weeks, Fulton Street's going to open up, the new Fulton Street, too. So a lot of businesses affected there the last couple of years, or the last year or so. But Leanne, you've got to come back. I know you're very busy and you can't, but I hope you enjoyed your stay here.
Yes, thank you so much.
It was a fun conversation.
It was.
All right, got to go. Leanne
All
Eager,
right.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks to Leanne Eager, President CEO of the Fresno County Economic Development Corporation. Tomorrow, I forget who's on tomorrow. Doesn't matter. Join in. See you tomorrow. Have a great day. Lost track.